You are now tuned in to Mastering Mitzvahs. Mastering Mitzvahs. A podcast focused on creating the perfect bar and bat mitzvah celebration, offering tips, tricks, and trends to ensure an amazing event. Mastering Mitzvahs. From New Jersey's own Explosive Entertainment. Explosive Entertainment.
I know you're gonna dig this.
And here they are, your hosts, Jordan Marshall and Mike Langzer.
All right, I'm going to take this one. I like it. Go for it. I'm going to talk for the first time.
Do it.
Mastering Mitzvahs, episode 14. Michael Langzer here, Jordan Marshall.
What up, what up?
Getting ready to do another one of these. And as we're getting prepared for one of our busiest weeks, and we spend weeks preparing for every weekend.
It never stops, right?
No, never.
See,
the phone doesn't stop ringing. We think what we should talk about today is actually having our clients be prepared for events. So let's just get right into it. I mean, what's the process? You know, you book an event 2 years in advance, you get the date from a rabbi, and then what happens?
well, you know, there's certain items that I feel and we feel are very important in the booking sense, you know, like these are things that you should really take care of early on in the process, you know, things like your venue, your entertainment, obviously, photography, videography, if you're using a planner, maybe a decorator. These are key cornerstones that, really, will help set everything in motion and get the ball rolling. And if you could really tackle these, certain points early on in the process, I think you'll get a really great leg up and you'll have a nice head start on the game. You know, we stress so much that, booking your talent when it comes to entertainment is super important, but these other items really fall in line right with that.
So let's chat about it. I mean, generally speaking, first things first, you find your venue. You know, you get your date, you find your venue. Now, that's not always the case. Sometimes it's a second child, and you know for sure you want to reuse the same photographer. You
Right.
know for sure you want to use the same DJ. You lock in...
Shout out to our repeat clients.
Yes.
We love that. We appreciate
Yes.
that. That's great.
And change is good. Now, listen, I mean, the truth of the matter, if you find something that works for you, if you find the greatest venue, the greatest photographer, the greatest DJ, and it works for you, why make a change? I mean, if it worked the first time, don't reinvent the wheel the second time around. But we also are believers in change, and that's why we have a roster of different MCs. And, I mean, that's a whole other conversation. But, maybe Jordan was the right MC for your first son or daughter, but then for the second son or daughter, you still want to use explosive. You know the whole vibe, but you're going to switch it up. And maybe you have Mike P or Mike S or, one of the other MCs.
That's why, having great talent and depth, like in our position, we're very blessed to have a rock star team that, are all trained regularly. I don't know if, for all you guys listening out there, it's so important that the teams and the personalities and the people that are coming to your event are well trained. So ask questions. When you go and you sit down with, any of these vendors, ask, how many years they've been in the game. Do they do active training for their staff and their team? Just because you want these guys to be able to think on their feet, give your family and friends the greatest experience possible. And, training for us is huge. All of our guys get you the same end result, but we definitely have our own approach, and that's awesome.
Yeah, so, I feel like I hear every day from clients, they say, am I too late? And or when do I need to book? Or when do I need to firm these things up? And my answer always, and Jordan, you're probably going to say the same thing, is the sooner the better. I mean, like...
Mike, I'm pitching a client for June 1st right now, and it's what? It's May 1st?
May 2nd.
2nd. So we have less than a month for this one.
That's not a mitzvah, though, right?
I don't think it's a mitzvah, but still, like planning an event, like putting your stuff together, you gotta, really try to bring it, and the more time and the more you can kind of give yourself the ability to adjust things, and there's time to plan and put things together, it's definitely going to help you with it and give you a really good heads up.
So to boil it all down, in the next 27 minutes of this podcast...
And counting.
We're going to try to evaluate your whole 2-year plan of planning and why it should be 2 years in some cases. And if it's only 30 days, like the client that Jordan's working on right now, that's all good too. But you can't second guess yourself in these short term, if you make a decision and you got 30 days to make a decision, stick to it, and that's that. So kind of going down the list, all right, you book your venue, you book your vendors. Sometimes your booking's open-endedly, meaning you don't know your menu at the venue, or you don't know which photo package you're going to get, but you're going to have, your favorite photographer. You're going to have your favorite DJ, but you don't know which photo booth.
Or entertainer, who the exact MC will be. You just know you like the product, you like the vibe, and you're good.
Mm-hmm. So I call that like a check off the to-do list. You feel better about yourself knowing it's done. You leave a deposit. The vendor is comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But now what? Now what? So, are you planning on having a montage? You probably know in advance, year in advance, that you're going to have a montage.
Yep.
Your baby photos are not changing.
Nope.
Pick them out early. We're sitting here now on, today is a Thursday that we're recording this, and we've got some montages that literally, we just got the content from the client a couple days ago.
And when's the party?
This weekend. So point of the matter is, that you have to do this. And I'm kicking myself as I'm recording this podcast, and I'm now a father of a 4-year-old. I should be putting a folder aside of all of her baby photos and having a favorites folder, favorites of the first year and second year and third year. So when time comes along for my daughter's party,
you'll be the perfect client.
Should be. And I'll admit I'm not doing a great job of it, but you don't want to wait to the month before because you got a million other things. So montage is just a quick idea of that, but logos, any type of media, you want to do a grand entrance video, all of these things should be thought out well in advance.
Right, yeah. If you as a family have a vision or some sort of vibe that you're looking to achieve for the day, it's always better to kind of put these things in motion. And because I find that as we get closer to crunch time, when the event's coming up, everything starts to snowball. No matter how much we can calm you guys down as professionals, if you've never done this before, it's nerve-wracking. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of moving pieces. You want to impress your family, your friends, but most of all, you want to make sure that your son, your daughter, your family has the greatest time ever, that all of this hard work and time and effort that has gone into the planning doesn't fall on deaf ears.
Absolutely. So I have what I call the 2-week rule. It's not an official rule, but it's my 2-week
rule. I like the 2-week rule. We can make that something.
I think everything should be completed 2 weeks before the party. Down to the payments even. So your DJ needs the payment 10 days before the event, the photographer 7 days before the event, whatever it might be. Why not pay it 2 weeks before?
Right.
Is your financial situation that different, May 1st versus May 10th?
Maybe it is. Who knows?
You're just waiting one more day to win that lottery.
Oh, man. Aren't we all? Our lips to God's ears.
But, the point is, you want to have everything done 2 weeks before, but 2-3 days before is a rat race. You got a million other things that are coming up, and I can't tell you how many times a client or their son or their daughter, they get sick a week before the party, and that week that they should have been doing crunch work in their mind, they're laid up in bed trying to recover for the party.
Yeah, we have some families that are out doing, final dress and tuxedo and suit fittings. You have a faux temple shoot on a Thursday where, some temples don't allow, the videotaping or photography during the actual temple service. So you got to come out the Thursday before, have a mock, mitzvah ceremony to grab those pictures, the footage. You're planning for a Friday night service, and then you're looking ahead to after the mitzvah to the Sunday luncheon that's probably going on somewhere, either at, the parent's house or, at a restaurant somewhere. There's so many things that happen that week of that, if you can, like you said, if you can knock a bunch of these tasks off the list, you're going to be in great shape.
Let's talk about being in great shape. That's a great segue. So how many people want to look good for their parties?
I feel like everybody does, man. Sweating for the simcha, right?
Yep. So, but when do you start that? Is that also 2 weeks out? No.
Right.
You want to lose some weight. You want to get tan. You want to tighten up.
Maybe fix the teeth. You whiten the teeth a little bit for the pictures. Like all of this cosmetic kind of adjustments that go on. Like you said, everybody wants to look their best, and you should. It's a big day, and you want to, bring your best.
And Jordan, you're in the fitness business as well. So,
yes.
How long? I guess it depends on how far out of shape or how much you want to adjust.
But for certain people like myself or, some other of our staff members, our MCs, our talents that are in it, it's more of a lifestyle now. You know what I mean? Like the idea of working out and staying healthy and fit and moving around. I'm 38 years old a couple weeks ago, and it's awesome. For the most part, unless we're like slamming gig after gig, I don't feel 38. Like I feel great and I have energy, and people are like, where do you get all this energy? And the whole fitness thing is super important, and eating well and trying to make sure your diet's cool, even though you did bring in gourmet donuts today, and that was my vice. So, it's also good to have a little bit of fun, but, keeping that sort of mentality as a lifestyle, if you could work that into your everyday routine, it's going to become second nature, and you're just going to do it rather than have to, again, slam that sort of stuff in at the last second.
Talk about not having time, 30 days before your party. Do you have time to hit the gym 3 times a day?
Right.
You're sitting in that sauna, or would you be better suited being home preparing? So plan accordingly. I mean, when it comes down to even fitness.
Absolutely.
That's a big part of it. Jordan, this happened to you last week. No, not last week. Maybe last month. But, when we're talking about preparing for a party,
Uh-huh.
how about, shouldn't a client bring extra clothes?
Yeah.
Tell the story. Why do I bring this up?
You can't, because you can't even make this up. And it's funny. So I feel like what you're getting at, and what's such a great point, is that no matter how much you prepare, how much you prep, shit can happen. Mm-hmm. For lack of a better term. We were in the middle of cocktail hour for a young man's bar mitzvah. It turned out to be an amazing party, but in cocktail hour, he was hanging out with his friends, and homeboy, one of his buddies took a Shirley Temple and spilled it all over his white tuxedo shirt. So this
no longer white.
No longer white. Definitely no longer white. And the worst part about it wasn't even like it was the beginning of cocktail hour, where you had a little bit of time to adjust. All right, we got a little bit of time. This was literally probably 10 minutes before we opened up the doors to the main room. So, unbeknownst to us at first, we had no idea. I feel like the family started to panic a little bit, and they literally sent one of their friends to the mall around the corner to buy a new shirt. So, our bar mitzvah boy could, get ready to, resuit himself, look good, because when you come into that main room on that day and everything's electric, you want those great pictures. You don't want a giant Shirley Temple stain all over your shirt. You want these images that are going to last a lifetime to be perfect.
That's really, that's a tough call on the family's part. Do I delay my party? Do I hold up all the guests? Or do I kind of destroy my photos?
Well, you just make sure that you have explosive entertainment, because somebody like myself is totally, completely trained to, weather a storm like that. You know what I mean? Whereas some people, and, nobody in specific, but, I do feel that our degree of talent and the way that we train our guys is to be prepared for anything. This was no sweat. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't, freaking out. I just kind of kept my cool. And I prolonged that introduction until the family member got back and we were ready to go. So, we hit him with an extra dance set. We did some cool hip-hop stuff. We gave out some great favors. The adults came upstairs, saw the kids rocking, and they jumped right into the mix. So it kind of became like a big dance party leading into the grand entrance. And it actually worked out really, really well.
Well, here's what I say to it, though.
Yeah.
None of that needed to even be the case.
Correct.
If the family was over-prepared. So maybe the topic of this podcast shouldn't be prepared.
Bring 2 shirts.
Yeah, maybe it's not being prepared for the mitzvah, but it's being over-prepared. Bring extra shirts, bring extra shoes. I mean, how many times does somebody's heel break or the strap of their shoe breaks?
And this is what we talk about this all the time. Something as simple as a sewing kit for a wardrobe malfunction on a dress, or, candles for a cake during candle lighting, or, just these things that happen 9 times out of 10 at a bar and bat mitzvah. Sometimes you'll walk into a catering hall and it's not bad, but some halls, maybe they don't do a lot of bar and bat mitzvahs and they don't know. And when the cake comes out, they're like, what do you mean candles?
You know what? Well, this is a shout out to the reason why hiring a planner helps. All right, I sat in a seminar, never forget, maybe 3-4 years ago, from a wedding planner, Kathy Evans, if you're listening. Hi, Kathy.
Hi, Kathy.
Kathy has, her emergency kit, she calls it. She brings a toolbox with her, and in this toolbox is sewing kit, gaff tape,
in case of mishigas, break glass.
Yeah, miscellaneous sized batteries. I mean, things. She's like a mini traveling CVS or Walgreens. She's got all this stuff in her bin, but she knows walking into that wedding, she could handle any situation that's thrown her way.
True.
Safety pins.
Yeah.
Bobby pins.
Something as simple as things like that. They go a long, long way. And this is like these little minute things that you're like, oh, how much of a difference does that make? You go from, this crazy catastrophe to being a hero. Mm-hmm. An absolute hero and saving the day. And that is what a family's going to remember. They'll be like, oh my God. And they'll talk about stuff like that forever.
I'm going to dial it back a little bit further. So, we're talking day of stuff now. Yes. We're kind of bouncing all over the place. But my best friend Ralph owns Normandy Bakery. Shout out to Normandy.
What's up, Ralph?
We wanted awesome cake. Check him out.
Yes.
But, he says all the time that he has people picking the flavors of their cake like the week of the party or the week before. Why not do that 6 months in advance? Right. Like, did your taste buds change?
Your palate, you have a different palate the week of.
I mean, I don't actually even understand the whole idea of cake tasting. I mean, you know what strawberry filling tastes like. You know what buttercream tastes like.
And if it's a mitzvah cake, it might be marzipan. So who knows?
Right.
Which isn't the best tasting, but it looks great.
Right. That's a good point. But, the point there being, if you know that you booked a party 2 years out, and you know that the cake is coming from Normandy or whatever bakery it might be, just go 6 months in advance. if you're going to do a tasting, do it 6 months in advance. Pick your flavors, pick the style, just get another check off of that to-do list, because, the families that walk in here with the binders, they've got to-do lists.
At least the first time around. At least the first time you're doing it, definitely taking these steps and kind of preparing yourself in this fashion is going to go a long way. Once it's your second, your third, your fourth rodeo, we get it. It gets, not that it gets repetitive, but you've kind of put the key factors in motion. You've done it before a little bit, so you can kind of gauge how much time you really need for stuff.
Yeah, I'm a big believer that you don't need to be overwhelmed when you first book. So that's why I hardly talk about what the minute details of a photo booth might be. But don't wait till 2 weeks before. Again, figure out what your step and repeat banner might look like, or which photo booth, or how many dancers you're going to have. I mean, all these things should be done several months. That's kind of like the 3 month out. So you got your booking a year, 2 years in advance. Get all the vendors in place. At 3 months out, you really should be firming up your decisions. I really believe all of your firm decisions should be 3 months out. And then you got your 2 week out where everything should just be complete. 2 weeks out, there should be nothing left but getting a good night's rest, making sure that you're on time for your hair and makeup appointments. No sweat. No reason to freak.
100%. And Mike, I want to dial it back too, because you made such a good point. Ultimately at the end of the day, we're doing cool events for cool people. They're parties. It's fun. It's celebratory. We are that escape for everybody, regardless of what's going on in your personal lives. The kids could be crazy in school. Maybe you're going through a rough divorce. Maybe you're, moving, relocating to a new town, and you got to move to a new house. There's all this stuff. When you come and party with us, we want to be that escape for you. So, ultimately, we're trying our best to fire on all cylinders to make that experience as full and as amazing as possible. But you never know what could happen. When you said before, the week of, having, unfortunately, a family member getting sick, or, somebody just being, not being able to make it that was coming from out of town. All these things can come into play. And, unfortunately, it'll shake things up a little bit. But if you can be better prepared and really ready to rock and roll, I think that, you'll be able to troubleshoot it better. It'll keep everybody calm, because you never know what can happen. And nobody ever wants to talk about the real, That's one of the big things that we try to do on this podcast too, guys, is be as real as possible. We are human beings. Obviously, people see us as DJs or entertainers or these crazy personalities that are just always on.
Aren't we?
Yes, we are superhuman for the most part. But, I think just, approaching this as a very real thing, you have to. You totally have to.
Yeah, and listen, if you're going to take things on yourself, and I'm all about the DIY approach.
Yep.
But definitely DIY early. If you're going to make your own montage, I laugh when families say, we're going to make our own, we're going to teach ourselves the software, and they spend a bajillion hours. Scientifically.
They're always the first person the next time around to be like, you do the montage.
Yes. Finding the photos themselves is the hardest part. But then scanning them, and then putting them in order, and then if you're good enough to color correct. And,
it's a pain in the butt.
Yeah. If you're not a professional at making a montage, you could easily spend weeks working on it over and over and over again. And I could think of a customer whose name I won't mention, but I probably got 30 or 40 revisions of it sent from him. And while that's all good, why drive yourself so crazy? You could have spent those weeks doing other things. And, so much of this DIY stuff, again, the week before is not the week to be doing it. And we mentioned, what if you got sick? What if a family member gets sick? I get so upset when I hear people say, I didn't sleep the night before my party because I was up all night working on the montage or seating chart or something.
Or building centerpieces. These families that, take it upon themselves to kind of DIY and be their own planner and their own decorator, which is cool if you have that, that niche of value and you want to get down like that. That's awesome. We encourage that.
Let's take that to the next level.
Sure.
So DIY, you make your own centerpieces.
Sure.
How do they get to the venue the day of? Maybe you're lucky enough that the venue has nothing the night before or earlier in the day, and the venue allows you to drop off items the day before. But even so, maybe you do get to drop them off. You're lucky enough to drop them off, and that's not the norm. But then who's setting them up? Are you trusting a waiter or waitress?
Most of them are, and it's nothing bad, but most of them are 17, 18-year-old kids that are...
Sometimes they don't even speak English. Correct. Keeping it real.
Correct.
So if you give directions that say, you want 3 votive candles put in a perpendicular line next to the centerpiece. Not only do they not understand, they probably don't care because they're not there to do that.
Correct.
So again, it all boils down to maybe you should hire a planner or a day of person. If you can deliver things the day before, now you're asking the banquet staff to not focus on what they're doing, which is prepping the room, prepping the food, getting the place ready.
Right.
Now they're busy putting out centerpieces.
I feel like the week of should just ultimately be exciting. You're really in the countdown. This is like the final, calm before the storm. At this point, the invites are back in. You know who's coming. Everybody's ready to rock and roll. And, you should just be amped up. You should be so excited.
So let me give you 2 scenarios. Jordan.
Yeah.
If it's the week of your party, would you rather get a good night of sleep, go to the gym, go tanning, do whatever it is you want to do to look and feel great? Or would you rather be up schlepping centerpieces, making a montage, driving yourself bonkers?
I don't even think you got to finish that statement.
Yeah.
You know where I'm going to lie on that. You know what I mean?
For the clients that are listening, that's real life talk. That's picture the real life week of your party.
100%. And then you have to factor in certain things that are maybe even out of your control, and you don't even want to piggyback it with this stuff. The bus is late coming from Temple.
Happens.
You know what I mean? Everything's cool, smooth. You have a great service. All the kids get on the bus, and the bus driver, he takes a wrong turn. He goes through somewhere, and 30 minutes of your cocktail hour, gone.
Yep. You can't prepare for that.
No, you can't prepare. But at that point, that's where we bring back our friend Cindy Kaplan, who is going to forever be ingrained in this show now, the 95% or the 90%.
She texted me today that she loved our shout out last week about the 95%.
There it is again, Sin. So we expect another text. And can you make it a group one now? Because I want to get it too. But that's what's up. At that point, you guys got to kind of, and not cut your losses, but such an amazing day. It's an amazing weekend. You know what I mean? It really is. It's something that not every young man or every young lady gets to experience, gets to do. And if you're fortunate enough to be in these situations to not only be a bar or a bat mitzvah or attend, one of these parties, I can't tell you how many times, people have no idea what this even is. They come into the room and they're like, we look like a Las Vegas act. Mm-hmm. And it's awesome. It's a great feeling because I feel like those are some of the coolest crowds because this is just such a new world for them. But that's where all the energy needs to be. That's where the excitement should be. That's what's up.
There's one awkward part of this that I think should also be discussed is dialing back to payments, and I also want to touch on gratuities.
I know where you're going. This is such a huge question that we get from our clients all the time.
So let's hit payments first.
Yes.
Again, if you're expected to pay a week in advance, there's a reason for it. And if you're uncomfortable with that as a client, again, that you're uncomfortable weeks or months in advance, address it then. Don't wait to the week of. Because what's happening then is you're setting up an awkward anxiety between all parties involved. Mm-hmm. You don't want the DJ to be anxious. Am I getting paid? That could be a very touchy subject.
100%.
Jordan says this all the time. I mean, as a performer, he wants to go there with a smile on his face, hug and kiss, ready to rock and have the day of his life. He doesn't want to be a bill collector.
Right.
That's a very awkward position for a person that's supposed to
for
be
your talent to be
rocking a party. Yeah. And
absolutely.
We've learned the hard way in the past that payments need to be made in advance. They should be made in a timely manner. And that's really where the buck should lie.
And that's the other thing, too, is that our industry, there's no, collegiate course for this. There's no textbook. So, we were fortunate enough, myself, you, our area, is one of the fortunate areas, I think, to have been raised and cultivated around really, really good talent and really, great, trendsetters and leaders in this industry. So, I feel like we're getting the best of all the world and we're kind of putting our spin on it. So, again, all this info that we're spitting back at you guys is obviously, our personal opinion, what we find works well. If you guys have something else that works awesome, definitely implement it 100%. But, these are definitely things that we've had experiences with in one way, shape, or form. And, anything that we could do to kind of, make the light at the end of the tunnel a little bit brighter for you guys where there's not so much gray area. Gray areas, we want none of that the week of. We just want everybody pumped up, like I said before, and, and making sure that that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed.
So let me hit on gratuities for just a second. And first off, I'm going to start with the caveat that it's never expected, ever.
Anything extra is greatly appreciated.
It's so appreciated. But that's one of those things, again, you got to prepare for. walk into your party and already know, if the staff does a good job, I'm prepared to take care of them. Now, if they really blow your minds and you were prepared, but you really want to go over and above, that's a different story. But, there's been so many occasions where at the end of the night, a family apologizes. Oh, my God, I forgot. I really want to take care of your crew. This week has been so crazy. I never got to the bank.
Right.
Now, that's cool. It is. It really is cool, and it's an awkward conversation to have. But the staff who works so hard, and we're not talking about ourselves as owners, but the staff that works so hard, at the end of the night, if they get a little bit of grease, they're so happy and elated. Sometimes we have to say to them, hey, the family forgot money. They're going to Venmo it to us. They're going to mail us a check.
Right.
And it's just, then it becomes sometimes a 2-week process by the time we get the check.
There's a little bit of deflation there. It gets a little deflated for the team, They're like, especially when you knock it out of the park. Especially when that party was a 15 out of 10, that everything, we were burning all cylinders, there was never a dull moment, and you really, crushed it,
No doubt. And I think that we put 1,000% into every party because we love it so much. And this is not a, plea to ask for gratuities, but
some people don't know. They don't know.
If you're going to do gratuities, then again, just kind of plan ahead, and ask your friends, ask your other people that the family members that have done these parties. What's traditional? Do you take care of the catering manager? Do you take care of the photographer?
Well, that's what I was going to say too.
Valet, coat check. I mean, all of these things.
And even with our crew, so it doesn't just stop with your MC, your DJ, your dancers. There's technicians, there's lighting people. Maybe somebody's running your photo booth from our team. So I think a good way to approach it is when you're sitting with any of your authoritative figures for the event development. Ask them how many people are on the crew. How many people are you bringing on our team? For the day.
And what's customary? I mean, there's some of the team members might be there for 4 hours before the start, getting set up. Others might roll in right at the start time.
Right.
Jordan, I think we hit on so many things. I mean, just to recap, I want to say, book your necessities very early. Your key pieces of the puzzle, your photographer, your DJ, your videographer, your venue. Book that, very early.
Yep.
Again, you don't need to make every decision. And too early is not a such thing. I mean, am I too early to book? I mean, I hear that all the time. No.
Listen, I mean, we're booking right now to 2021, so it's never too early.
Never. And that being said, if you know what you want, go for it. Then, let the puzzle pieces fall in place, but know that 3 months before the party, you should really have everything confirmed.
Correct.
Leaving then the next 90 days to button up open pieces. But at 3 months out, there's no reason why you don't have your logos. There's no reason why your invitations aren't designed. There's no reason why you don't know your theme.
I mean, we actually have an email prep that goes out here from Explosive at 90 days. You get a 3-month email, which is pretty much on our end saying, we're ready to rock.
Yep.
And, if you have any last minute things that might need some addressing, or, if there's an extra idea that came into your head, let us know. Let's talk about it. But at that point, we're good to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So then, come back to that 2 weeks out. Everything on your list should be buttoned up 2 weeks out. All your payments should be done 2 weeks out. You should have nothing but opportunity to relax, start getting excited. And you should build up excitement, for the big day. And then when that big day comes, you should be ready 1,000% to embrace it. You shouldn't have to wake up the morning of and do other things. It should just be, I'm here to celebrate my family's big day.
That's it. And Mike, you couldn't have put it better to close things out here for our episode here. And we just wanted to shout you guys out again. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this podcast every week, where Mike and I try to bring you the hottest and most trend-setting content in bar and bat mitzvah world. So if you guys are going out this weekend and you're celebrating for somebody's simcha, or if you actually have a bar bat mitzvah of your own, mazel tov, congratulations. It's a huge weekend. I think probably across the country. I mean, we went to a lunch yesterday and talking with people, and it's just blacked out everywhere.
The whole month of May is always insane.
Yes, it is.
But
we definitely deserve a break after this month.
To everybody celebrating, enjoy.
Yes.
And some news, this podcast is now on YouTube. So if you're a YouTube fan, you're listening on YouTube, you're going to find all these podcasts uploaded to YouTube. We also have our Facebook group, Mastering Mitzvahs. You'll find us on Facebook. And share this with your friends. We hope you find the value in the content that we're giving out. And if you have any ideas or topics you want us to discuss, hit us up.
Yep, absolutely. So once again, it's Mastering Mitzvahs right here live with the crew from Explosive Entertainment, Jordan Marshall, Mike Langsner. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy whatever you're celebrating, and we'll catch you guys next week. Later.